noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, welcome in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Usually don't start the show with a tweet, but Hector tweets in, waiting for you guys to give us the food recipes for Thanksgiving. We do Super Bowl recipes. Have we done Thanksgiving recipes?
No, we've never done. We've talked about our favorite Thanksgiving dishes.
Yeah.
But we don't give out Thanksgiving recipes because it's just traditional dishes.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't wander too far off the path. Now, this year, we're not doing turkey. We're doing Bar W prime rib.
Oh, boy.
Got a big old prime rib from Bar W.
Yeah.
And that's going to be our turkey this year. And you know prime rib is my favorite cut of beef.
Yep, absolutely.
It's number one out of any steak or beef cut is the prime rib cooked to a medium rare with a little bit of creamy horseradish and a little bit of hot au jus.
Do you do your own horseradish?
I do. Yeah, I do. It's just a dumbed down horseradish.
Yeah, I love a good horseradish sauce.
Like a creamy?
One that you kind of get with a spoon and just kind of smear it all over the place. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah, Hector, it's typically Super Bowl. I mean, we do give Super Bowl recipes. We have for many, many years.
Well, and Nate came to our houses and recorded us with our recipes last year.
I did the skillet nachos. You did your wings.
Yep.
And I thought both those were a real success.
Yes. Already thinking about what I'm going to do this year.
Oh, I got to get mine going. But Thanksgiving, I guess we could do like pie recipes, but my mom does the pies.
Yeah. I made a really good, my wife's birthday was last Sunday. And so I'm like, I'm going to go over everything that she likes. And so I went and fired up a New York strip from Bar W, which turned out phenomenal. And then I did a roasted, what do you call those things? Shoot.
Brussels sprouts?
Brussels sprouts, yes, thank you. Roasted Brussels sprouts, which are not my favorite, but she loves them. So I made those, and they turned out well. But then I made this sweet potato casserole, which I'm not a big sweet potato fan, but that thing turned out great. Kind of like you get at that one steak restaurant.
Yeah.
With the
crumbles.
The crumble pecan topping on it. And that turned out phenomenal.
Well, as you know, the candied yams are my number one Thanksgiving dish.
No kidding.
Yes. With the marshmallows.
Yes.
It's the sliced yams and the honey and brown sugar with the marshmallows toasted on top. That's my number one Thanksgiving meal.
And they're sliced like a gratin, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sliced the long way, layered, candied with the marshmallows. Number one. And what's crazy is I'm the only one there's going to be 28 of us this Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's my favorite dish. So my mom makes them because she knows they're my favorite. And I always have leftovers. It's for a while. And then we've talked about it. The pretzel salad is my number two.
Oh, the pretzel salad, yes.
Pretzel salad is my number two. But those candied yams, to me, are there's a lot of nostalgia with it.
Yes.
But there is just the textures and everything that come with it. It's so good. So I take that over the sweet potato casserole that you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Because my wife makes that exact one every single Thanksgiving. A massive dish of it.
Yeah.
And people love that.
It's pretty simple to make, too.
Yeah, not overly difficult.
Yeah.
And it comes out of a canned canned yam, doesn't it?
I use real sweet potatoes.
Did you?
Yeah, I baked them and peeled them and did all that stuff.
Because I know that you can do just a canned sweet potato, too.
Yeah.
And it mashes out. Probably not as good, obviously. Fresh sweet potato is going to be a lot better. But candied yams.
By the way,
pretzel salad number two.
Can I ask a really dumb question? Because I don't like sweet potatoes or sweet potato fries usually. Are yams and sweet potatoes the same thing?
They're essentially the same thing. I just think they are a slightly different root.
Okay. But they're not. It's just not another word for each other.
No.
Like they are different.
They're different.
Okay.
Yeah, yam is different than a sweet potato. But I don't know if it's regional.
So you want candied yams. You don't want sweet potatoes.
Right.
Okay. All right. Sorry, that was the dumb question of the day. There's going to be a lot more of them before it's all said and done.
That's not true. Yams and sweet potatoes differ in several ways: appearance, taste, texture, botanical classification. Yams are part of the Disaccharide family. Sweet potatoes are part of the Calvisius family, also known as the morning glory family.
Like the weed? Morning glory?
Yeah. Toxicity, yams can be toxic if eaten raw. Sweet potatoes are safe raw or cooked.
Okay.
Yams are traditionally boiled and stewed. Sweet potatoes can be baked, steamed, boiled, microwaved, or air fried. So a yam is, I think it's a more dense root than a sweet potato. Both of them delicious. I love sweet potatoes. Just a baked sweet potato, slicing the top, cracking it, mushing it out.
Mm-hmm.
I love sweet potatoes. It's an underrated, underutilized veggie.
Yeah, I've never really latched onto them. Like people love sweet potato fries too. I can't handle those. Those gross me out.
Is that weird? Sweet potatoes are in the morning glory family.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
Learn something new every day.
And then after that, after those two, that's why we've put the turkey on the back burner. So we are doing a spiral candy glazed ham.
Okay.
That will go with it. We're going to do a turkey on Sunday. Or actually, on Sunday.
Okay, so turkey will make an appearance.
But just not a Thanksgiving meal.
Good for you.
Bar W came, they just stomped their way into the house.
Oh, dude. And I put a video last night on Instagram of the opening of the box.
Yeah.
And those guys just knocked Bart and the crew. I cannot thank you enough. Go to barwbeef.com. Use the code BF10. It's going to get you 10% off now through December 6th, I want to think.
BF10?
BF10. 10% off your order. But I opened that thing up and I immediately saw ribeyes, New York strips, T-bones, and a ribeye roast. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh, so you got a ribeye roast.
Yeah.
Buddy, I can't wait. I'm really debating how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I've never done it before. In fact, it makes me a little nervous. I'm not going to lie.
So I've probably done 8 or 10 ribeye roasts in my time, but I've never found the exact method. But I've heard that green egg with the charcoal, so smoke it until you get to like 100 or 102, and then throw it in that green egg at peak temperature and let it just sear like a real hard crust on the outside. Salt, pepper, garlic salt. That's it.
Yeah, SPG.
Yep. Salt, pepper, garlic, salt, and heavy portions on that ribeye. You can really roll it in it and smash it down in it and get heavy portions on it and then sear the heck out of that thing until you're about 114 in the deepest part, and then let it sit.
Yeah.
And that'll give you a really rare, medium rare to the middle by the time it rests.
Yeah.
And then your edges will be more of a medium. And then as people are just dead set on having a medium well, or if you cut off the medium and you need more, then just throw it on your flat top.
There you go. Yeah.
Or keep a boiling pot of au jus and you just dip it down in the au jus. Oh, yeah. And that au jus it'll take it to a cook temperature really fast, like within 2 minutes if you got a boiling pot of au jus. And that's it, man.
Smart.
That's how. But the thing is, I don't have green egg access.
So I sold my green egg, but I picked up this called a PK grill, which is charcoal based, very similar, just a lot smaller and a lot more portable. And that's what I use when I go to state competitions. Uh-huh. And so I can get that thing searing hot. Get that sucker to 550, 600 degrees.
Yeah, that's going to be delicious. And then this is what I love, Scotty. NFL kicks off at 10:30 with the Bears and the Lions.
Let's go.
The Lions are going to roll the Bears, but it's Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's at least going to be an exciting, interesting game. It is in Detroit.
Always is.
And then the 2:30 kick is the Cowboys and Giants. Now, both trash teams.
Yep.
But if the Giants could beat the Cowboys and beat America's team on Thanksgiving, we could see an epic Jerry Jones meltdown. And then the nightcap is the Tua Tagovailoas versus the Green Bay Packers.
And Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's ready to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's played the last couple of weeks.
So the Packers should get a win. That's obviously in Green Bay, but the Dolphins are trying to find themselves after getting Tua back. They've put together 3 wins in a row.
Their offense is starting to hum again.
Offense is starting to hum. They've scored back-to-back 34-point games, including one against.
Yeah, I know.
Are you pointing at me?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I didn't want to get in a fight.
I played against them. What are you talking about?
I didn't want to get in a fight. I didn't want to be yelled at and have you yell at me. And
at least you guys didn't give up 70 like the Broncos did to the Dolphins last year.
They gave up 70.
I would take giving
that
up.
was that record game.
Yeah.
Yes, I would take giving up 70 last year in order to get where the Broncos are right now. I would take it.
Oh, my gosh.
I would take doing something that bad for it to turn at some point.
So we got that. You got BYU versus Ole Miss.
Yep.
So if you need a little BYU basketball.
You got Utah State versus the Adrian Wojnarowskis on Thanksgiving Day. I'll be in Orlando calling that game.
The Bonaventure?
The St. Bonaventure. The school that somehow lured Woj off of ESPN to run their basketball program. The general manager of the Bonnies.
Boy, talk about just ready to changing scenery.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll see Woj there in Orlando. And then we got a game on Friday and then fly back on Saturday.
You know what my lowest rated Thanksgiving dish is?
Okay. I think you've told me. Is it stuffing?
Nope. It's one of the most traditional staples.
Cranberry.
Mashed potatoes. Are you serious?
Mashed potatoes.
You know what? You may have to give up your Idaho.
I know.
Roots.
I hesitate to even admit it because I feel like it does something to me.
Like I am such a meat and potato man that I love. Like you even take some of that turkey and you even dip it into the potatoes and eat it. Like,
see, I'm with you. Like turkey doesn't necessarily move the meter, but the gravy you get from the turkey makes the turkey worth it because you use the drippings to make the gravy. And so I love mashed potatoes. I love Mama Gerard's, my mom's mashed potatoes, because she uses about 18 sticks of butter. She uses heavy cream, and
that sounds a little light on the butter.
That sounds almost like cheese.
Yeah, I am telling you, like her mashed potatoes are just phenomenal.
Oh, that sounds.
And then she's
potatoes right out of the earth.
Oh yeah, because they just were raised in the field right next to the house.
Out of the earth.
And so and she always, and the display is really important too, because she wants, when you open that the lid that has the potatoes, she makes sure there's a big dollop of butter that sits right on top that has just started to melt and just had that little pool of butter there on the top.
Well, the mashed potato takes a back seat, man, like a back. I don't eat mashed potatoes, and I also don't eat the rolls on Thanksgiving.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I
know you probably won't this year, but traditionally you don't?
Traditionally I don't.
Wow.
Those are my 3 favorite things.
What, the mashed potatoes, the rolls, and what?
And the turkey.
Like
those are my 3.
Yeah.
Like
mine is,
give me those, and I can do without everything else.
Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and gravy over all of it.
That's crazy. Mine would be the candied yams, pretzel salad, and then probably ham before turkey.
Yeah.
But again, we're taking the turkey out. We're doing the Bar W prime rib. I just got to hit the cook. I'm cooking it. So
yeah. Oh yeah. There's
the responsibility falls on me. But what I'm going to do, I have to tell myself this every time. And anybody out there that needs a suggestion on cooking a prime rib, always undercook it before you overcook it.
Yes.
Do not overcook a prime rib. Prime rib is meant to be served to barbarians. Like it is meant to look like it still could move at any moment. That a prime rib has to be soft, and it's got to be a medium rare. And I'm talking about a light medium rare.
Closer to rare than medium.
Yeah.
And if you get a patch of fur in there, even better.
No, you don't want to get a patch of hair, bud.
By the way, you could take that pretzel salad and just toss it.
Whoa.
Throw it away.
Hey, you never even knew about pretzel salad until a year ago.
Throw it away.
You better stop it.
Trash.
Okay. All right. Nope.
I'm not taking that from you.
It's not okay.
And then I definitely roll with that green bean casserole. I roll deep with that.
You know, I've never really been to a dinner where That's been a staple.
At a Thanksgiving dinner?
Nobody's really made the green bean casserole.
I don't know if I've been at a Thanksgiving with our fam.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Yep. Pretzel salad, yes. Never have done prime rib. We're always strictly turkey.
When people try to sneak in a green salad with
oh yeah, get that.
I could drop kick that crap.
Yeah.
Well, we got to have the salad. No, nobody does.
No, all you're going to do is feel good about yourself that there's a salad there, but nobody's going to eat it. Like my wife does this really cool vegetable tray, which is awesome to look at, but sadly, very few people actually eat it.
It just sits in wilts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. Some of it's good. I mean, well, it's all really good. I like it. It's just but you're so enamored with.
My mom is. She's doing the veggie tray this year. So we do a veggie tray and a cheese and crackers tray.
That's what she does every year.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's a little turkey.
Yeah.
Well, it's cute as heck.
I know.
I mean, if anything, it brings the joy and spirit of Thanksgiving.
It's a very scenic thing that she does every year. And then it just sits there, unfortunately.
Do you know I've only been to one meal at Elsie's?
Oh, that makes me sad. I feel like I've let you down there.
But I will tell you that one meal was impactful. The one thing
baked beans.
The one thing that your mom is very good at is making sure that there's not a chance that she would ever run out.
Oh no.
Like when I was scooping stuff onto the plate, I could see her biggest fear is just take as much as you want and just eat and eat. And if she's watching it like a hawk, if this runs out, I'll make it quick.
Yep.
We'll get it replaced.
Yep.
She's funny.
I've had two people that have experienced, coworkers, you and Gordon Monson.
Oh, did he get a mama's meal?
So Gordon actually spent the night at my folks' house. We were coming back from Boise, from a BYU Boise State game. And I told Gordon, he's like, hey, you want to ride together? And I'm like, and that's when you had that inappropriate phone call with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And wasn't that the one with the fake punt? Was it that same game?
No, it was it was the one Riley got benched. It was, but anyway, but Gordon's like, can I ride up with you? And I'm like, well, I'm spending the night with my folks. And he's like, well, I can do that. So Gordon invited himself to spend the night with my parents.
Very cool.
And my dad loves Gordon Monson.
Really?
Loves Gordon Monson. Huh. And so my dad was like, oh, this is great. So we got in, 1 a.m. after a late night game. And then my mom made the biggest breakfast I have ever seen. And you know how much I love breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And, let's just say Gordon was like, this is single-handedly the greatest thing I've ever had.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Oh, man.
We'll also do our pies. We'll have plenty of pie. And we are going to make Mom's famous fudge.
Yes.
So we got all kinds of great stuff going.
If there's a little left over, you can bring it in.
Okay. I'm going to do my best.
If there's a turtle.
I'm going to do my, those turtles.
I've never even tried a turtle.
Oh, the turtles.
I've never had a turtle. You've never brought a turtle because they've never made it here.
I made it to me.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
That's a crying shame. I've got a problem. You both know that. It is a serious problem.
I know that you are really dialed in because you're going to go on a little vacation.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to know how you handle yourself over tomorrow.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's just going to be very protein filled.
I say heavy protein. Let yourself go backwards a little bit, but then go hit the home gym after. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and then just really hit the right types of foods the next
exactly
18 days.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your Cougar preview show kicks off at 1 as we continue to get you ready for another weekend of college football right here on the Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Joined now by Darius Lassiter, BYU wide receiver. What do you say to your teammates now, getting ready for this final game?
Just got to make sure everybody is still bought in, still locked in, because it's still an opportunity for us to go out there and still reach the Big 12 championship if things fall in our favor. So whether it does or not, we still got to go out there this last game, especially for the seniors. Last home game of the season, you got to go out with a big win. If you let those things just linger, it's just going to affect how you operate throughout the week. Losses hurt, but you only get that short amount of time to feel sorry for yourself, and then ultimately you got to turn around because you got another important game this week.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G. That's right. Yeah! On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a tremendous Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Hey, hopefully you have the day off. Hopefully you're driving around making that last-minute grocery store run.
That's the hope.
And just hanging out with us. All right, it will be the season finale for the University of Utah as they take on UCF. Joining us now, the play-by-play voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, kind enough to hang out with us. Marc, how are you?
Hey, Marc.
Hey, guys. How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well. This team started out 3-0 and then have lost 7 out of their last 8 games. There's been a lot of close games along the way, but just unable to finish. When you look back and try to tell the story of this year's team, what are the 2 or 3 big storylines as to why this thing kind of went south?
Well, it starts, with KJ Jefferson, the quarterback that UCF thought they were going to bring in an experienced guy that can kind of run the offense that Gus Malzahn wanted to run, and it just never materialized. KJ just did not play to the level that UCF had thought, so that began a ripple effect at quarterback, and that impacted the ability of running the offense that UCF wanted to run. There's some other areas where UCF committed to some guys, both on the defensive side and even some offensive linemen that, again, you go in the portal giveth, portal taketh, and I think they fell short with some of the guys there. Then, when the ball doesn't bounce your way, when you get a penalty against you late in a key drive, and then the negative things just began to take over where UCF kind of wondered, where's the negative moment of the game that it's going to slip away? I think Utah's experienced that as well a little bit. And now you're not playing with confidence like we saw BYU come here when they played UCF. And, the ball isn't bouncing your way. And that began to snowball a little bit. So I think that's kind of where the season went the wrong way for UCF. I think they played in a number of close games where you look at the talent. And I think UCF is as talented as most of the teams they played this year. They just didn't get the breaks and kind of began to have a domino effect, and the season just kind of goes different than you anticipated.
So, Marc, when we came out there to Orlando for that game, they rolled with Ja'Cory Brown to start the game, and that kid Dylan Risk comes in and gets hot, goes for a quick 6 of 10, quick 100-plus yards, outthrows Ja'Cory, and just looked good. Had some great moments, another 30-some-odd yards on the ground. How has he been since that moment? Has he been the primary starter, and is that who you're expecting to play and start against the University of Utah?
Yeah, to match up, I'm not quite sure, guys. The 4th quarterback for UCF and a 5th quarterback for Utah. I'm not quite sure people thought that was a matchup at the beginning of the season. But Dylan Risk, got a chance to go and play a couple of series against BYU, played well, but UCF gave him a chance to start the following week against Arizona. He was lights out, played phenomenal against a struggling Arizona team, went out to face a very confident Arizona State football team who threw some things at him after getting more film on him. He played okay. He's not the reason why we lost him. We were certainly in that game late. And then West Virginia, despite a struggling week they had before against Baylor, I think they also showed some new things to a freshman quarterback and kind of flushed him out of the pocket more. But Dylan's going to play this week. He's the starting quarterback for UCF. They used Ja'Cory Brown with certain run packages, whether it be red zone or goal line, and that'll be the case for this week. But, Dylan's had a chance to get some starts under his belt. I think UCF will certainly be interested to see how he plays this week and then what that means in the offseason for UCF. I mean, every position, I think, is up for an evaluation. And it's a chance for Dylan to say, look, I think I've made some progress. Give me a chance. And we'll see. But he'll be the starting quarterback for Friday's game.
Really fun watching R.J. Harvey, already 1,400 yards. That's back-to-back years at 1,400-plus for him. And just obviously just a really special player. What has he done to elevate himself this year? And what are the talking heads saying about him in terms of the NFL draft?
Well, RJ's just a great story. He's a local kid that was a dual-threat quarterback, went to Virginia, transferred to UCF, was in position to be a starting running back, blew his knee out, had a full year of rehab, and has just gotten better the last 3 years as a running back. In the last 2 years, I think it's proven to be one of the better backs in the country. He's a bigger, more physical back. He put about 18 to 20 pounds on, maintained that speed. He's a patient back that allows a block to develop. He's a film freak and studying things, and he's just gotten better. Now the role of a leader. I think he's helped, with some young players through this difficult season. I think he's got a chance to play at the next level. I mean, RJ's height might be a challenge for some teams. He's about 5'9.5", maybe just under 5'10". But the physical back that he is, and he's got good speed, I think it's going to give him a chance to play on Sundays. He just needs the right team to feel like, hey, we've got something here. But scouts have come to UCF games now for a couple of years, and despite the overall team's challenges, I think people have come and seen a talented back. And the struggle of the passing game, you would think, has made it tougher for him to run the ball. But I think that's been a good thing for him, is that he's shown NFL scouts that even though we've gone through so many changes at quarterback, he's still going to go out there and put up big numbers. He's in position to break, a good chunk of Kevin Smith's records at UCF, and Kevin had one of the great seasons ever in college football history years ago. But RJ's got a chance to have most rushing touchdowns at UCF and most overall touchdowns, 46, and numbers like that. So he's had a phenomenal career. Obviously you'd like to see him go out with a win if you're a UCF fan, and he's been just a tremendous team leader for the Knights through this struggling season.
You're going to have to help remind me if I don't remember this clearly, but I think Kobe Hudson went out in the very first play of that game against BYU. Has he made a full return and recovery, because he was the primary receiving threat going into that game?
Yeah, Kobe, if you remember, when he went down, you thought that looks pretty serious as the season ending. Yeah. And to his credit, he worked hard, got himself back in the field. He played the next week and played well. And, I think it's benefited by Dylan's style. Dylan gets the ball out quicker. And Kobe's been fine. He's another one of those guys that's going to play a senior day, and it's meant a lot for him. Last year he played in the shadows of Javon Baker, was a draft pick for the Patriots, and he's elevated his game this year. But he'll play, and he'll walk on senior day as well on Friday.
So in terms of, I know obviously the season hasn't gone the way you would have liked at Central Florida, but there's, a good history, recent history of excellent football there. Obviously with that huge student body, there's some resources available for this university. So what is the trajectory? And do you feel good that this university, in making that transition into the P5 and into the Big 12, is on the right trajectory? Because it takes some time and it takes some work and effort to get there to where you need to be, but do you feel like they're on the right path?
Yeah, I think UCF has a lot of things that are going for them in a positive way. Look, there's no hiding the fact this wasn't a very good season, and there's some work to do. You've got to go back and kind of evaluate what went wrong in the portal. How do you get it right this time? What are you going to do at quarterback? Where are you going to go with some other players? Where are you going to spend your money in building? One challenge I think UCF still is dealing with is the quality of linemen. Offense and defensive linemen. There's a huge gap from the G5 to the P4 level, and I think we're making progress. We've got to get better at that. But there's not a spot on UCF's roster like, hey, they don't need anything. So this staff has to hit the ground running. We all know December is crazy. It's crazy as far as high school signing day, the portal being open, if you're going to make any staff changes, all that has to happen in the next couple of weeks. Look, UCF would love to be in a spot to play a 13th game. They're not. What's the advantage of that? Well, come Friday night when that game ends, you're at work on the 25 season. As far as resources go, look, UCF is at the bottom part of the Big 12 just by the history of how young we are. We've got to do things a little bit different than others from a standpoint of where our athletic budget is and where we want to go. But with a massive student body, a growing alumni base that's the fastest alumni base in the country. Orlando now is the 15th largest television market. There's plenty of things that UCF has going for it. But the business of college football, as we all know, has changed. And you've got to be right. And if you're going to hit the portal, you got to be able to make sure that you're signing guys that can truly help you. You can't get to the middle part of the season and look back and go, wow, we didn't get performance out of these guys. Florida State's dealing with it as well in Tallahassee. It'll be an interesting offseason for them. And UCF's going to face the same thing as well. And sometimes it's as simple as the quarterback. I say this as a compliment. Cam Ward at Miami, it came down to Florida State, Miami. He chose Miami. Florida State didn't want to wait a little bit. They signed DJ Uiagalelei. If Cam Ward's at Florida State, maybe it's a different season. But it's just how things happen sometimes. You've got to get that quarterback position right, and you've got to hit on some other areas. And we'll see what the offseason will be like for UCF. It'll be busy. I mean, the next 4 weeks will kind of lay the foundation of what the 2025 season is going to be like.
Well, Mark, you treated us like gold out there. Had such a great time. Hope Utah has the same type of experience because it really was a blast. Are you treating them to a rocket launch like you did us?
No, I'm not aware of a launch scheduled. I hope the weather today in the last couple of days has not been a cloud and it's 80 degrees and it's been beautiful. There's a slight chance of some showers on Friday. Hopefully it happens in the afternoon, and it's then a beautiful night. And for Utah fans that are coming, there's so much to do in Orlando and a holiday weekend. The town is packed, and so whether it's theme parks, whether it's restaurants, beaches, I think they'll enjoy it, and we're looking forward to it. We know that they've got a phenomenal fan base, just like BYU, and hopefully, they have a good time down here. And then I'm still invited to the barbecue at your place this summer, right?
That is right. We're going to get together when I'm down there in NSB. I'm going to hit you up.
There you go.
All right, Mark.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Take care now.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You know what, Lloyd? I didn't even think about this. Why didn't I put 2 and 2 together here? Like, I'm going to be there on Saturday. Like,
You got to go hit that game.
Swing over there.
You know what?
Who are we sending?
I got a recorder.
Who are we sending?
I got a recorder for you. I
got my own.
I don't think Bartle's going. Bartle's not going.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, there you go.
What time's the game?
6.
Nah, never mind. No,
you'll be fine.
Too late.
Too late. Flight's at 1.
You'll be fine. It's on Friday. The game's on Friday too. You wouldn't be able to. Anyways.
Oh, the game's on Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday anyway.
Well, no. I mean, if I play that early, if they have that early game,
Friday at 6,
we might be able to get you over there.
Hey, I would recommend getting over to that stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if I can get a credential. Should have asked Mark where's the best place to eat. I need a good Orlando. But it's just too touristy.
I'm sure you'll have
isn't it?
no problem going wherever he says.
It's pretty touristy, and I know Orlando's got some good eats. But I don't think it's known for...
Yeah, what do you think of when you think of Orlando for food? It's just like...
Cuban, maybe, but...
Seafood.
I think that's even further south.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's got any
like
good...
some mahi-mahi.
Because here's the thing,
40 minutes east, and I could give you the Roasted Garlic and Norwood's Treehouse. Those two they're two of the best restaurants.
In New Smyrna?
In New Smyrna, yeah. The Roasted Garlic and...
I love that you're like a local there now.
Norwood's. Oh, dude, it is my little heaven on earth.
Where's Harry Potter Land? Is that close by?
That'll be right by you. Yeah, that'll be right by you.
There you go.
Go get yourself a cloak and a wand and go have at it.
Nerdus Maximus. Let's go. All right.
I hate that you have that on me. I should have never told you that I love that place. I hate Harry Potter.
We let things go.
I hate everything about mythical lands and
but boy, you love that place.
But when you put hand to material,
the architecture,
and you build out these insane buildings.
Yeah. No, I got you.
The castle that they built in there up on a rock.
Don't say I got you like you understand where he's coming from.
No, I totally understand where he's coming from.
The castle that's up on this cliffed rock that your brain can't even comprehend how stunning it is. It's just, it takes your breath away. But there's only one good ride in the whole Harry Potter area.
Oh, so you're not actually a big fan of the rides there?
The one ride is my favorite ride I've ever been on in my life.
Oh, okay.
It's like Hogwild's. It's a Hogwild's
Adventure.
Yeah, it's a Hogwild. It's
like Toad's Adventure.
No, it's called Hogwild's sidecar. It's Hogwild's Sidecar Adventure. That's what it is. Hogwild's Sidecar.
Or Hogwarts.
No,
because that's the name of the place.
I know, but it's not the name of the place.
So you're driving in.
You're in a sidecar. Yes, of a motorbike. One of you sits on the motorbike. So is Jenny going?
No.
Oh
no.
Well, one of you gets to sit on the motorbike, and then one of you is in the sidecar, and it takes you on a wild journey.
Well, I'm there. I got a game on Thursday. Got a game on Friday. I'm going to get there about midnight tonight. And and then I'm leaving Saturday at 1. So I don't really have a lot of time to be
I'm
hitting.
so jealous. I want to go with you.
Come on.
I would take you. Like me and you. And we just go. I mean.
Hey, I'd be on that sidecar with you. Let's go.
I think we would have a blast together. I think I'd get you giggling.
Now, back in the day, I don't think we'd fit on the sidecar, but I think we could pull it off now.
If anybody would like to,
I love that you're willing to do that for me.
Do some artwork and get you both of you guys on there.
On a sidecar?
Well, yeah, I'm talking
on Hog Wilds.
Yeah, essentially,
or in robes and a wand.
Yes.
Okay.
If you'd like to put a picture together, much like hands on my dog, you can do that. Feel free.
No, don't. I didn't like that.
You did like that.
No, it was my head on. Oh no, it was me riding a dog that was taking a dump. I didn't like that. That was a terrible Photoshop.
It was a great Photoshop.
You wore it as your Abby for how long?
Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure.
That's a long name.
No, it's not.
That's what Jake Hatch just said.
See? He would know.
Really? How many times has he been there? I've been there like 8 times.
Oh, I think he's probably been there a couple times.
It's Hog Wild Sidecar Adventure. Google it.
You Google it.
Google it.
In fact,
Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is the name of the ride.
Wow, that doesn't really flow.
It really doesn't.
Take an L.
Could do something way better.
I'll take the L.
Yeah.
How sure are you?
This is the Universal Orlando.
It's their official website.
That's the one. That is their official.
It's pretty official right there.
I'll take the L.
Okay.
I shouldn't have been so insistent.
Hog Wild. It's a better name.
Yeah.
Like from
Hog Wild Sidecar Adventure.
From a marketing standpoint, you got them beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hog Wilds.
Hog Wild.
Hey, so a couple suggestions. If you do go to the park, which I suggest you do, in Islands of Adventure, they've got, I think it's the 3rd highest drop of any coaster in
oh, really?
east of the Mississippi. It's a high drop.
You think they'll be open on? They won't be open on Thursday, right? On Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, they're so money hungry. Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll go out there tomorrow because I've got nothing to do.
Well, I'm the kind of guy, which I've done it before.
Oh yeah. Would you go to amusement park by yourself?
I've done it before.
Really?
Yep. And I
don't even like going to a movie by myself. I feel weird doing that.
Okay, so you got to go movie times 3 when you're at a park. It's that much more awkward, but
because aren't people looking at you like there's a red dot above that dude's house for sure?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm the dork. I would walk into Disneyland and I would go sit in the tiki room for 3 hours because it's still magical to me.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Bunch of electric birds up in the air.
The tiki room, is that where they smoke that one stuff?
No, that's the tiki bar.
Oh.
Or the tiki torch.
Hey, to your credit, I went to Disneyland about 4 or 5 years ago, took the kids.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I've ever been to Disneyland. I'd never been to Disneyland before. And you, from memory, mapped out the route that I needed to go in both parks.
Yeah. Adventures and Disneyland.
And the most efficient route. And it worked like a gem. Like, we knocked out every ride in that park. Now, we were there for all day. I mean, we spent 14, 15 hours in that park. But it was efficient. It was very clear cut, and you knew your geography of where to go when and all that. I mean, it was a science with you.
Wow.
Like, David Locke would have been impressed with your
efficiency,
with the efficiency of that.
It truly is, as dorky as this sounds, and I'm not afraid to sound like a dork. I do it a lot. It's still a very magical place to me. They took out the Country Bears, which really bugs me, because I could sit in Country Bears forever too.
Yeah.
And they added some stupid stuff that I've accidentally gone into. They got a Lion King show. If you end up in that, you're locked. Like, get that.
Is this Disneyland or
that's Adventures?
Adventure.
Okay. Yeah, it's over in the California Adventure.
Okay.
But, yep. Good times, Scotty. You should get out to the park.
Hans and Scotty, we'll take a break, come back. What you may have missed straight ahead, and then your Cougar preview show kicks off at 1 right here on The Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
I'm going to do like you fans 15 years ago. I'm getting a Big 12 tat and flags. I love this conference.
I'll bet you get an ultra big flag.
Ute fans embrace it. You just did what BYU did. You struggled your first year in a big-time conference. See what you do next year.
And for a Ute fan, that was pretty mean.
It's not mean. It's a fact. They struggled in a big-time conference. How is that mean?
You know how it is.
I don't.
See, they were in a big-time conference, so there's in the transition.
I didn't say they had to make a transition. I just said they struggled in a big-time conference. I give opinion and I get ripped. And then I give a black and white fact and you say that's pretty mean.
Yeah, it was implied. We heard it.
Imply this. What are you talking about?
Imply this is always a good comeback.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah! We've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for another edition of What You May Have Missed. Before we do that, though, let's give away some Jazz tickets. How about Jazz and Lakers tickets? That's right. If you're going to spend time with us on your Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we want to make it worth your while. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. You'll win a family 5-pack of tickets to see the Jazz and the Lakers at the Delta Center on Sunday, December 1st. You want those tickets, call and claim those tickets. And if you don't win, don't worry. We'll give away another pair later on in JJ and Alex. So it's a Win Ticket Wednesday right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Speaking of the Jazz, what you may have missed, Hans, tie game at halftime against the Spurs. And then the Spurs took a 3-point lead into the fourth quarter and then just blew the doors open in the fourth quarter en route to a 128-115 win. Victor Wembanyama, how about 34 points and 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. He was 6 of 14 from the three-point line.
That's so dirty.
6 of 14 from the three-point line.
You can't be built like that and do that.
No.
He's beautiful. The one thing I took out of that game was Victor and Larry Markkinen hit knees, and they hit knees hard.
Yeah.
And I've done that before, where you drive a knee into a quad or vice versa. A knee gets driven right above the kneecap into that patellar tendon. Or if it goes bone to bone, like knee to knee, it's so freaking painful.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad, and they hit hard. And Victor shook it off. I love the way he handled Lowry. Walked over, patted him, looked at him. Like most guys, I don't know. You get the competitive jerks. Like Michael Jordan probably to hit your knee and then laughed at you while you laid there. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. If he didn't respect you.
Yeah.
But Larry Markkinen's got so much respect in this league, and I hated seeing him go down.
Markkinen played 33 minutes before suffering that, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Keontae George, 26 points, dished out 7 assists, 3 rebounds, and had 2 steals as well. So racking up that experience.
Well, he definitely has a scouting report on San Antonio.
Yeah.
They've only played him, 6, 8 times?
Sure seems like it's the season of the Spurs.
Yeah, so he kind of knows what they're going to do, and there's still moments with Keontae George where you're hopeful.
Telling you what, ever since you said it, it just makes perfect sense. But John Collins, 7 of 10 from the field, 20 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, there's going to be a market for that guy for sure.
Yeah, that started at the back end of, more towards after the trade deadline last year. I've just felt like John Collins could get you something.
Yeah.
He continues to improve, which I like to see that too. But I also like him as a piece. I think he's a hard-working dude. Kind of a Derek Favors -1.
Yeah. All right, there you go. What you may have missed right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We will get you ready for BYU as they wrap up the regular season at home, taking on Houston. It's senior day. We'll break it down for you next right here on The Zone.
Number one.
Miss any part of the show? Every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're a better man than I am, Lloyd. That's 98% of the reason why I want it out. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This generation, man. Just want to slap them.
I know. Hey, speaking of that, I was on a phone with a non-Power 4 coach today.
All right.
For a period of time.
Okay.
Not in this state.
All right.
Out of state. And we were talking about the cut down to 105. And because I'm still trying to get a feel for how much that's going to affect things. And he doesn't feel like the effects are going to be as extreme as some of the other people I've talked to. He actually kind of walked me off a ledge a little bit with all of it, which was good. He also told me that they had brought in a pretty good number of Power 4 players that left Power 4 teams that went to group of 6.
Yeah.
And he said they have not been good. He said, what we're understanding now is when they cut down to 105 and that floods the market with 20 players, he said those 20 players really aren't even top end G6 level players.
Yeah.
And he said, we're starting to really get a feel and an understanding that that's the case, that those guys are actual misses. And then he said, think back to your time, which, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He said, think back to your time and think about how many misses there were on that team. We always carried 20 guys we could cut and not miss.
And you reminded them of that.
I didn't. I didn't. But, yeah, players on the team did.
Why are you even using a scholarship? Why are you even here?
Yeah, there was a guy that went off on one of the dudes.
Oh,
said, you're a waste of a scholarship.
Yeah, that's right.
But and then the thought of those guys, when those guys are cut, and then seeing a team pick them up, we would all just laugh. We'd be like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because the guy doesn't work hard. He's not over athletic. He peaked in high school. He doesn't have an upside. It's a low ceiling.
Yeah.
Or he's a misfit. He's academically ineligible. He's a constant threat to your roster of, man, we could use him, but is he eligible? Or he's an injury liability.
Yep.
And it's just a constant game of cat and mouse, and it's just stupid every week trying to get him on the field.
Or he's a bad human being and is getting himself into trouble all the time.
Or he's a bad person. So what this individual said to me was, minds are starting to change. He said, I'm not saying that it is 100% proposition, but they're having a hard time pulling Power 4 players out of the portal and finding good fits.
Yeah. And there's, just looking at, doing play-by-play for one of those G6 schools in Utah State, there's been some guys that have made the trip down from the Power 5 or Power 4 that have been huge contributors. And then there's been some that you're like, oh, this guy's a wide receiver and he played at Miami, or they got a wide receiver from Alabama that everybody's like, oh, wow. Devin Tompkins did this in this offense. Just imagine what this wide receiver from Alabama could do. And he was four-star guy. Everybody in the SEC offered him. He was a bust, just a complete bust, and couldn't make his way out on the field. So it happens a lot, probably more than you think, and probably more than the guys that pan out. And so I know that's what a lot of people said when this whole free transfer thing happened. They're like, well, yeah, the G4s are going to get treated like farm schools, but they're going to get a lot of talent coming down to them. It hasn't quite worked out that way.
Not really.
No.
Not as much. Now, as you mentioned, there are some hits.
Yeah.
So then people are out there saying, wait a second, then why would a kid go into the transfer portal? The kids that you see go into the portal that are good players, they already know what's up. They've already got it dialed in.
Yes.
They know how much money. They know what school. They know what coach. They already know. The good ones that are making a move either up to down for money or down to up. They already know. It's the ones that these schools are going to say, we don't have room for you.
Yeah.
Those ones that they're cutting are a lot of misses. And so, yes, the market's going to be full of bodies, but are they the type of bodies that you want to pull out of the portal and put on your roster? I think a high percentage or a very good percentage of those bodies are just going to be done.
Yeah.
Because also remember that most of those will be walk-on cases, which I love the walk-on program. I've always loved it. I love the opportunity it gives. You know, it's like the free agent program in the NFL, and I benefited from the free agency program in the NFL. So I'm all about that. Give me a chance, and I'll do everything I can. And those kids are valuable, and those kids can be game changers, and they're going to be missed. But the bulk that are going to be cut, I don't know if you want to touch them. But there are going to be plenty of them out there.
Oh, yeah. The streets are going to be littered with them.
Yeah.
It's going to be pandemonium. This is going to be really interesting, which is why, you know, if you're looking for a new coach, like, let's just say, and I'm not saying it is or he is or he's not. I'm just saying if Kyle Whittingham is considering retirement, Kyle needs to let Utah know quickly because they've got to make that move fast in terms of, okay, well, all right, it's going to be Morgan Scally's. Morgan's got to go hire a DC because you've got to be locked and loaded to be ready to have your full staff available to recruit that portal, keep kids from going into the portal, and all of a sudden, you know, going out and scouting people that are in the portal because Utah's going to have to remake their roster. BYU, on the other hand, I don't think it's quite as severe for BYU. Now, they may lose some people, and you'll always want to supplement your team from the transfer portal, but you never really want to build your team from the transfer portal, especially at that quarterback. Especially at that quarterback position.
It's not a. I will tell you though, if my memory serves me right, just Arizona State research, 60 new players on that roster.
Oh, yeah,
for Arizona State. Every once in a while, you see it. That Utah State roster that Blake went and won it with.
Yeah, but then the next couple of years, he tried to do the same thing, and it
breaks.
It breaks.
You're right. It does. It breaks. And it makes you wonder if it'll break with Arizona State.
Yeah.
I want to say there were 30 outgoing this year. So, you know, you bit and piece together. I still think the key to high-level survival is finding the right high school players, recruiting them, landing them, developing them, and making sure they understand your culture. The problem is we're just not seeing coaches have an opportunity to establish culture.
Yeah.
Coaches just are getting fired way too fast. Now, the bottom two teams in the conference right now have the two longest tenured coaches in the country. Two of the three.
Yeah. Kirk Ferentz is number one.
Yep.
And then you've got Kyle and Gundy, number two.
Number two.
Tied.
So they're going to be fine if they choose to be fine. And they're going to be fine. But how long do you get to try to even establish it? You're like, okay, well, my idea is to get high school players and develop them. And your athletic director's like, okay, how long is your idea going to take? 4 years. What if it doesn't work? Well, then that's 4 years of suffering.
Yeah, AD essentially saying you have two.
Right. It's like the Philadelphia 76ers telling you to trust in the process.
Yeah.
And then their process sucked.
Yeah.
Or Detroit's trust in the process, and their process sucked. And then you're 12 years in the process, and you're like, what? Where the hell's the payoff in this? When is the payoff coming? You've had 3 classes come through here. Why are they not working? So a lot of coaches just don't get the time because your patience runs out.
Well, and let's be honest here. That's why I know BYU's lost 2 in a row, and BYU fans are a little salty, but this is a 9-2 team, has a very good chance of going 10-2, and if they do win, there's probably, if you just want to look at the percentages, about a 60 to 65% chance that BYU plays in a Big 12 championship game. So, as bad as things have been over the last couple of weeks, still things are in play. Now, you're going to need some help along the way, and we'll go through all of those. You've been tweeting out, all the scenarios in which BYU can, in fact, play in that Big 12 championship game next week. So this has been a really good season, especially considering what we thought it was going to be for BYU at the beginning of the year. And when we look at the transfer portal in regards to BYU, the fact is they got old, they developed, and then they stayed the course. And they supplemented. Jack Kelly was a nice supplemental piece to add from the transfer portal.
Excellent.
But you didn't have that complete makeover. And we talked to, I think it was Aaron Roderick, and said last year there was a huge turnover. They remade their team with the transfer portal, and it didn't work out. This year, they said, you know what? We like the guys that we have. We're going to continue to develop them. We'll supplement a piece here and there.
Not much.
But not much. And we're going to stick with these guys. And that experience, the chemistry, the cohesion has paid huge dividends for BYU. And I think that's a big reason why, especially when you look at that offensive line. I mean, they could have panicked on Etienne and said, no, this guy sucks. We want him out.
Could have. And
they're like, no, guess what? Let's take a closer look, which you did a very good job of before the season started.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, guess what? This guy took a bad rap. He did not perform as badly as people thought.
In the last 2 games.
The last 2 games, he was really good. So those coaches looked at the film and said, you know what? Let's keep working with this guy. Let's keep developing. And now he's probably second or third team all Big 12, don't you think?
Oh, yes. Second team. With a conversation on first team. Last week I felt like was his worst game. For one reason or the other. I don't know why.
But we had to get to game 11 for him to have a bad game.
Yeah. And outside of that, I feel like Etienne's had a spectacular. I think bottom end is second team. He's been that good. And it's a bummer that Braden Keim went down because Keim was putting together an all Big 12 first or second team season. So that turnaround, that shift was spectacular. This Isaiah Jota that they've had playing at the tackle position, he was a transfer portal addition from Colorado. And he was a good pickup. And I do know that there's a couple of other guys that are sitting in the wings waiting for their opportunity at BYU to see if they can get on the field. And I know things are still in flux a little bit coming into this weekend because Austin Liusa did not come back from whatever he went down against Arizona State. Sonny Moncasina came in and he filled in and he did well. You still have Bruce Mitchell. That Connor Pay came back and that added some depth because now you got Bruce Mitchell who can play the guard position. But yeah, things are starting to tighten up a little bit on that offensive line. And you can't have things tighten up against Houston. Defensively, Houston is very good. They cause trouble.
Yeah.
They forced 4 turnovers, including, I believe, a pick 6 against Baylor last week. So they're a menace. They're a nightmare defensively. And you need that offensive line, that entire front to be ready to go. But I know people are in panic mode right now with BYU, and rightfully so. You know, those 2 games, losing those 2 games, I can see how that causes some panic.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that those are 2 of the kind of hottest teams that you've got in the Big 12 right now. Arizona State and Kansas.
So they lose that game last week 20-10 to Baylor. And there was a pick 6 in that game, right?
Yep.
By Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the previous week to Arizona 27-3. So that means you have to go back 3 weeks since they've had an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not great, Bob.
So there's 133 FBS teams in the country. Still 133, right?
Yeah, give or take two. I think 133 to 135 around there. Yeah.
Positive. They're number 133 in scoring offense.
Yeah. A whopping, 13.6 a game?
13.6. So they're the absolute bottom of the basement in scoring offense. The worst in the country in scoring offense.
Wow.
And when I think about some of the teams, like when I think about that Wyoming team that BYU took on, and there's some teams out there that just offensively are really bad. This one's bad, and I did start into my Houston film this morning, and their offensive line is really slow. They're bigger than Arizona State's offensive line, but they're slow. I'm watching them get out on poles, and they just kind of Humpty-Dumpty along a little bit. And you can't do that.
Not in this conference.
Arizona State, their offensive line coach was a former Navy offensive line coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think about Arizona State was a little bit undersized, but picture how those guys were comboing, how they were driving, how they're getting off to the next level.
Yep.
Man, I watched that first half of that Arizona State game again last night. The first half. I rewatched the second half after the game to get a feel, but I watched the first half. Man, it was brutal. It was a thumping. And guys that have played good all year were getting walled off badly. Guys that have been pretty darn good tacklers, missing tackles.
I wonder why that is.
Well, I was asking
the grind of the season maybe taking its toll.
I was asking the same question. What it came down to for me was Cam Scatterbo.
I mean, he made Utah, who's had a good year defensively.
I largely had to check. I had to chalk it up to Devin Neal and Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah,
and just say sometimes you just play. You know, I was talking with Christian Cox out there about the old Virginia running back Thomas Jones. So Thomas Jones was just a Mack truck.
Oh yeah,
and when you went to grab him, he would drag you. And it was just the worst. The first running back that I tried to tackle in the NFL, who was the really good running back with the Rams when they were winning Super Bowls?
Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk. That was the first guy that...
Welcome to the league. You got to try to corral that guy. Yeah.
And it's the only tackle that I got in my time as a defensive tackle. I only played D tackle in the NFL for 1 year before they moved me to offensive guard. And he drugged me for like 5 yards. It took another linebacker to come in and help. Some dudes just run.
Yeah.
And I'm chalking Cam up as he's a problem because of it's the sample size of Utah and BYU. And I'm looking at, there's one guy in particular on that Cam Scatterbo, 25-yard touchdown off the left side.
Yep.
When everything was pinch defense. There was a BYU defensive player that had him lined up in his sights, shot at his legs at about a 2-yard loss, and Cam just shook him off like a fly. And it was like, geez, man. So I chalk it up to good running backs. Which reminds me, I actually put something together that I thought was pretty incredible. Why don't you want to take a break?
You want to do it next?
Yeah,
we'll do it next.
There is something that BYU is doing defensively that is shockingly better than anybody would probably think at this point.
We'll tell you what that is next. 125. Hans and Scotty. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Joined now by Darius Lassiter, BYU wide receiver. What do you say to your teammates now, getting ready for this final game?
You got to make sure everybody is still bought in, still locked in, because it's still an opportunity for us to go out there and still reach the Big 12 championship if things fall in our favor. So whether it does or not, we still got to go out there this last game, especially for the seniors. Last home game of the season, you got to go out with a big win. If you let those things just linger, it's just going to affect how you pretty properly throughout the week. Losses hurt, but you only get that short amount of time to feel sorry for yourself, and then ultimately you got to turn around because you got another important game this week.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G. That's right. Yeah! On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, it is your Cougar preview show right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, getting you ready for BYU and Houston. As much as it bums me out to say it, Hans, the regular season finale.
Hey, can you use your magical computer over there? I know you've got access to stats.
Yeah.
2023 BYU rushing defense.
All right. Well, give me 2 seconds here. BYU 2023, so
yeah.
Last year?
Yeah, end of season last year.
Rushing, what would you like to know?
Just
yards per game?
Yards per game.
They gave up a lot, 177 yards per game.
I think that put them, well, it was, in the bottom 90, bottom 80, bottom 90, somewhere in there?
2023 National Rushing Defense. And let's see, yards per game. That would have put them at 112th.
There you go. 112th in rushing defense last year. Now, the point I'm going to make here, it does have some substance. So they're number 58 right now at 140 yards a game. But this is what I want people to keep in mind. BYU has faced the number 4 running back in the country, the number 9, the number 10, the number 17, the number 20, the number 33, and the number 39 running backs in the country.
Holy smokes. That's crazy.
Listen to these numbers now.
Okay.
So, number 4 running back in the country is R.J. Harvey. He rushes for 132 yards a game. They held him at 127. Still a good game. But R.J. Harvey is out of his mind.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this is another thing I found really impressive. Out of those 7 running backs that I just gave you,
yeah,
only one missed game amongst the 7 of them, and that was Cam Scadaboo. He's the only one that has missed a game out of those 7 running backs that lead the country that BYU's faced. That's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so R.J. Harvey sits at 1,458 yards on the season. He also has 21 touchdowns. I mentioned that yesterday. That's why I had the number. I actually put these numbers together yesterday, getting ready for the show today, and had to hold on to these. But R.J. Harvey, number 4 running back in the country. BYU held him under his average. The number 9 running back in the country is DJ Giddens, Kansas State. He rushes for 116 yards a game. BYU held him to 93. He's at 6.7 yards per carry. Number 10 running back is Cam Scadaboo. Now, both BYU and Utah have played against Cam Scadaboo. Cam went over his per-game average on both. So he averages 122. He went for 147 against BYU and 158 against Utah.
Wow.
Cam undid both BYU and Utah.
Yeah, he did.
This is the other thing that's impressive. So I've actually got Cam Scadaboo in my notes as the number 1 running back in the Big 12, in my notes.
If you had a ballot, first team running back, you would go Cam Scadaboo.
Cam Scadaboo. He doesn't lead the conference in yards per game. He doesn't lead the conference in yards per carry. He does lead the conference in rushing receiving numbers. So he's the number 1 receiving running back in the Big 12 at 460 yards receiving.
Jeez.
So you add the 460 to his 1,221 rushing yards, and then what I've personally seen him do to BYU and Utah, 2 defenses I really respect. Cam Scadaboo is the number 1 running back in the Big 12, in my opinion. And it would take a bulldozer to move me off this mountain.
Yeah.
That's how sure I am of that. Then number 17, Devin Neal. He averages 103 yards per game, 1,133 yards on the season, 5.7 yards per carry. BYU held him to 52 yards. Now, that came with a loss at Kansas, but held him to 52. Brashard Smith is number 20. He's the number 20 running back in the country. We probably wouldn't have called it or known it when BYU played SMU, but he averages 100 yards per game. He also has put up 13. He's also put up a total of 15 touchdowns, but he's higher in rushes per carry. He's at 6.2 yards per carry.
Yeah.
They held him to 75 yards. Micaiah Bernard is number 33 in the country. He averages 84 yards a game, 5.3 yards per carry, and 149 receiving yards. BYU held him to 78. And then Ollie Gordon is number 39 in the country.
Which makes no sense.
No sense at all. But he averages 79 yards a game. He was the only other back that went over his average against BYU at 107 yards per game. Outside of that, they have stomped these running backs, and they have stopped up a run game that we're talking about 7 players that are in the top 40 in the country in rushing. Jeez. And BYU stumped them. I do want to mention Utah held Ollie Gordon to 42 yards. So Utah did play Ollie Gordon better than BYU did. But BYU did outplay Utah against Cam Scatteraboo, personally. And then I'll throw in that Taj Brooks, who neither Utah or BYU saw, he's number 6 in the country in rushing yards, 1,317 accumulated. And then Corey Kiner, who neither BYU or Utah saw, Cincinnati, he's number 24.
This conference is just loaded with running backs.
Jam-packed. It is jacked with rushing yards.
Does that mean
BYU, in their second year, found a way to shave off nearly 40 yards a game?
Wow. So do you attribute that to good offensive lines? I mean, you've seen a good chunk of these offensive lines here in the Big 12. Are these running backs a byproduct of good offensive line play that BYU's able to combat that with their D-line and their front 7?
Dang, that's a good one. Oh, my gosh. I'm kind of doing a blink shot through the games I've called and the offensive lines that I've watched. Okay, so now you push me into a corner because I think that the most efficient offensive line I've watched all year is Arizona State.
Okay.
With Cam Scatteraboo.
Yeah.
So he's probably the beneficiary of the most kind of lightning quick first step undersized dudes that you'd think that you could beat, but they hit you on an angle.
And again, this is the O-line coach from Navy, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Man, outside of that, I didn't feel like UCF didn't have a good offensive line that I felt. Kansas is pretty good.
But a lot of this is just these running backs making plays.
What is insane to me is Ollie Gordon's numbers because he's got...
Those guys all came back.
So when I put the numbers together for Oklahoma State, for that BYU Oklahoma State call, that was they had set the record for the most games played, the most veteran offensive line in the history of college football.
Yep.
That's how
it's unbelievable that they're struggling.
Deep and long that offensive line has been there and together. And Ollie Gordon got going against BYU. Nearly beat him.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously to answer your question, there's 1,000 ways to do it. And I think that the nuances are so slim. But I would say that you're onto something.
Yeah.
With the offensive lines being better and providing more opportunity for these running backs. You know, we'll just go to Utah's situation where they've got the number 33 running back in the country at 84 yards a game, 922 total yards. So he's up there because of yardage. 922 yards.
The reason I look at this is if we were looking at these running backs and saying week in and week out, they're just conversely, I guess I should say, if they were getting shut down week in and week out, we would be saying, hey, these defenses in the Big 12 and these defensive lines are just incredible. Nobody can get 1,000 yards rushing. Nobody can get it going. Yeah. And so I think we need to go look the other way. When the running back is tearing it up, then we say, hey, these offensive lines seem to be getting the job done.
Yeah, and then you start to question some of the defensive fronts.
Yeah.
Why are they lead? Are they tearing up the Big 12 defensive lines? I do think that the offensive line is the most consistently good position group of the Big 12 in the 2 years that I've called games.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if that'll continue into next year and the year after when you continue to see these teams year in and year out.
I would go running backs number 2.
Yes. So you would put offensive lines ahead of running backs in terms of
the quality of player.
You've seen.
Bulk. I'm talking about bulk.
Yeah. For sure.
I go offensive line, I go running backs, and then I go linebackers.
Okay.
And then from there on, it's a toss-up.
Yeah. And there's going to be a year where, that's the thing. We would see this all the time in the Pac-12. When that first Pac-12 media day we went to, and we saw Andrew Luck and USC had a stud. And you just go down the list, and like Brock Osweiler was at Arizona State. Nick Foles was at Arizona. These are all guys that won high-level games in the NFL. And we're just like, wow, is this how it is every year? Where these teams are just loaded at quarterback? And then we went on a spell where it got really dicey in terms of quarterback play in the Pac-12. And then it started to rebound. So I'm curious to know, from an offensive line standpoint, if it's going to be as reciprocal as that in terms of some years great, some years not so good. Or consistently.
For offensive line?
Yeah.
I think it's consistent.
Or consistently, will they be good?
I think it's consistent. I think because of the regions they recruit and the regions that they play in.
Those cornbread. Meatheads.
Meth head.
Yeah.
Yeah, meathead or meth head, however you want to spell it.
I think meathead's probably better.
But that's what you find, and that's what you recruit in this conference, and they're really good. I do wonder if...
Almost, Lloyd. You almost got it.
And now, then out of California, he's a corn-fed meth head.
Do you know Mark Burnett yelled at me?
Yeah. That dude is a big deal. He started Survivor. He may be responsible for Donald Trump because The Apprentice was his baby.
Was that his baby?
Yeah.
Well, Bully Beatdown was his baby, too. That thing had legs. If our host didn't get arrested, I think we would have probably had more seasons.
Yeah, you should be pretty mad about him because he cost you some money.
Yeah.
Probably a decent amount of money. There's a lot of money in the...
Yeah, I think it was $1,600 per episode.
That's nothing to sneeze at. And it's not like you were doing a lot of hard work in those, were you?
No, but I had to sign away my residuals.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because if I'd had, how MTV, they'll record something and they'll play it a billion times.
Yeah, absolutely.
They played Bully Beatdown consistently for like 3 years after we were shut down. And like every time I would see MTV's order list, it was just Bully Beatdown all day, all night. And I'm like, doggone it. Like even if I got $10 every time it played, I'd have made some good cash, but it was in the thousands, 16, 13, 1,800, somewhere like that. We did 3 seasons. I want to say 10 or 12 episodes per season, somewhere in there.
And nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, and then guy goes and gets arrested and
blows it all up.
I suffer for it.
I was reading
this. Never goes your way.
I was reading a story about the guy that played Theo in the Cosby Show, the son.
Yeah.
And he's all pipe hot and mad because he's like, hey, you know what? I was living a good life off these residuals. And then Bill Cosby goes and gets himself into trouble. And so everybody pulls the show. Nobody can air the Cosby Show anymore. He goes, my money just dried up. I don't have any more money coming in.
That makes me sick.
Yeah.
All because of freaking pervert Bill.
Yeah, Bill, quit roofing people's drinks, man. You wrecked my life.
That'd have been like Michael Landon going out and just...
I know, right?
Doing something awful.
Everybody loved Bill Cosby back in the day.
Yeah.
80s and early 90s. Man, Bill was like the picturesque father figure.
He really was. Cosby and Family Ties used to run back to back at our house. And I think it was Thursday nights. And I would just wait all week for Cosby and Family Ties. Back then, I was big into those series. Now, I can't hardly get through 2 or 3 episodes in a series anymore.
Yeah, Justine Bateman, too, though. That didn't hurt.
She was the apple of my eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I adored her.
Then you got Who's the Boss with Alyssa Milano.
I adored her as well. And those two have taken 2 totally different paths.
A little bit, yeah.
2 totally different paths. But the point that I wanted to really drive home is BYU has improved while taking on improved talent, drastically improved talent. Those are some of the best running backs in the country. And BYU, outside of Cam Scatterbo, has done a really good job of stomping them. And to make that point a little bit further, you get to see R.J. Harvey one more time against this Utah team coming up on Friday. R.J. Harvey is a special talent, and he's racked up 21 rushing touchdowns, 23 total, and he is a special talent.
And he's not going to a bowl game, so everything he's got all his numbers are going to be finalized in this game against Utah.
Yeah.
So don't think he's not going to try to go out with a bang here.
But again, I'm gonna make this point again because I think it might have got lost in the first part of this conversation. 11 games available for every one of these guys.
Yeah.
Every one of them except for Cam has played all 11.
That's crazy.
Cam has played 10 out of the 11.
That is crazy. It really is bizarre because in this day and age, guys are sitting out for hangnails. Yep, but yet here they're like, let's go.
77 games available, 76 played.
Yeah.
The way these guys run and hit.
Yeah. And we all thought Scatterbo was going to be out for a long time, and he just missed one game.
One game.
Yeah.
And he was back. This is a resilient group. I just love this conference so much. I love it. I love the way it's constructed. I love the potential of it. I do think that it's got great markets attached to it. Now, I know things have heated up because of yesterday's college football playoff release. I think you and I probably need to talk a little bit about that. Where the Big 12 checked in, who checked in above them.
Could be a problem.
Well, a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
I'll give you my thoughts.
Hans and Scotty, 149 will continue to get you ready for BYU and Houston to wrap up the regular season. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
She bangs! She bangs!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah! We've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans, this AI stuff's getting out of control.
Oh.
Some of these press conferences, guys will do this AI stuff and have these players just saying, like, horrific things about their opponents. And you know it's fake because it's, like, way over the top. Well, Antonio Pierce for the Raiders just said in preview of their game against the Kansas City Chiefs, he's like, well, let's call a spade a spade. It's the best team in the NFL versus the worst team in the NFL. Calling his team, his Raiders, the worst team in the NFL. And you and I were like, this can't be real. no coach is going to call his own players the worst team in the NFL.
Did you Snopes it? How did you?
No, it's now being reported on. Many people that were at the press conference are like, yes, no, this is what he said. And now you're like, well, geez, I don't know if you see video footage or something, you're like, I don't know if I believe this because there's so much bad stuff out there.
Read this thing. It says, if you're a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders, it's one thing to hear that your team is the worst in football from your fans or from fans of other teams or pundits. It's quite another thing to hear from your coach.
Do you have the cut?
No, I don't have the cut.
What was he meaning it in a? Was he adding levity?
No, there's not a lot of levity with him.
There's none.
He's not a jokester. I know this is your Cougar preview show. But
imagine if a head coach in this state, I know we're the worst in the Big 12, but I know we're the worst in the Big 12 going against the best in the Big 12.
Yeah. Well, I remember, here he is, Antonio Pierce. You'll hear that in a second. I remember the first year BYU played Utah in 2005 with Bronco and Kyle. They were both like 500, and Kyle's like, oh, let's be honest, it's a rivalry, but, it's two mediocre teams going up against each other. Everybody lost their mind over that.
Oh, sure.
All right, here's Antonio Pierce talking about his or your Raiders.
Watching, yeah.
It's called spade to spade, right? The best team in football against the worst team in football. Let's change the narrative, right? Let's go out there and make it a dog fight. Let's make it ugly. Let's make it scrappy. It's Black Friday. Let's create a little chaos. Let's get back to, Raider football and have some fun and some personality and let it loose.
I would say that the Giants are worse. Maybe the Jaguars?
Yeah, which, by the way, that suck bowl is going to be happening because the Raiders have to play the Jaguars.
The suck bowl.
You got Trevor Lawrence. Why do you stink so bad? You should be better than that.
At least they're not going to be trying to get another quarterback, I don't think. So Raiders should be okay there.
The suck bowl. Hey, the FC West has sure churched things up, though.
Yeah. You got Mahomes. Now you got Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And then you have
Herbert.
And then you have Aiden O'Connell. I mean, those are 4 elite level quarterbacks.
Let's not say Herbert. Let's just say Harbaugh. You have Harbaugh.
Herbert.
But I still think Herbert's a bum.
Was that Monday night? Ravens and Chargers?
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Yeah, Ravens kind of took them behind the woodshed, though.
Not until the end of the third.
Yeah.
But going into half, I think it was like 17-14. It was a pretty dang good game. And then the Ravens went stomping away. Because there's a receiver for the Chargers that decided he just was not going to catch the ball anymore. I still can't believe some of the drops, some of the disgusting drops. Was it who was it?
Yeah.
Is it J.K. Dobbins?
And he's the one, and he got hurt too. He's going to be out.
It was Quentin Johnston.
Oh, there you go.
I think Quentin Johnston. Yes. I've got it here. Quentin Johnston was targeted 5 times for 0 catches. Multiple throws on 3rd and 4th downs where it hit him in the hands and he dropped it. It's like, if I'm Justin Herbert, he said the right thing afterwards. He's like, I'm going to keep throwing it to him. But it's like, no,
not. That dude's going to be stocking shelves at Walmart.
Never going to throw it to him again
before this season's over.
He's supposed to be a good receiver.
Hans and Scotty, our good friend. Normally we bring him on to talk Houston Rockets, but he's going to talk a little Houston Cougars coming up next. Matt Thomas, former Utah play-by-play voice, now the play-by-play voice of the Houston Rockets. We will chat with him next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Number 1. Miss any part of the show? Every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you are all well.
Excited about this next guest.
Good friend of ours, Matt Thomas, kind enough to hang out with us. Coming to us from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia.
He's a good one.
He's a good one, as the old folks back in Idaho would say. He's a good one.
He's a good one.
Matt's with us. Matt, how you doing?
What's up, Matt?
Outstanding, gentlemen. How are you?
It's good to hear from you.
Where does Philadelphia rank on your cities of choice on the NBA circuit?
Oh, bottom third. Easily. Come on now.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Is it the fans? What is it?
It's everything. Now, they have a casino downtown, which gives me bonus points for that. The cheesesteaks are good, but everything else, they're just rude, ugly people.
Yeah.
Just period.
Where does New Orleans rank? Talking about casinos.
New Orleans? I would say middle of the pack. Middle of the pack, yeah. My top 5 are anything on the West Coast. That means L.A., San Francisco, Portland. I like D.C. I mean, it's actually easier to tell you where I don't like to go, and most of them are in the East.
Yeah.
Scotty, where did New Orleans rank in STD transition?
That would be number 1.
Number 1.
We read that story the other day. Yeah.
Gotta be careful.
Got personal quick.
Yep.
That's a bad area. There's some bad apples in that area.
Say you may just want to hang out in your hotel room. All right. So you're coming to Provo. So you're part of the broadcast then. What do you got going on with Houston?
So I do the pregame shows when I can, and then when I can't, because of Rockets commitments, I just do it from the studio or do it from the hotel or wherever I am. But the Rockets play tonight here against Philadelphia, and then we don't play again until Sunday night at 6 o'clock against Oklahoma City. So it gives me a chance to get back to the 801 and go see some friends and go check out the Cougars. I've been listening to Hanju on the BYU radio on Sirius XM, so you guys are sounding great as always. Looking forward to catching up with you guys and just take it easy on us. It's been a interesting season here for new coach Willie Fritz.
I don't think taking it easy is exactly the best idea over the last 2 weeks and what's happened, Matt. It's been pretty bad.
I know. But here's the thing. We can't score. We can't move the ball. We had an offensive coordinator change this week, and I think it was just basically to get ahead of the game a little bit. Kevin Barbe was relieved of his duties. They're going to go with the quarterback's coach as a play caller. We've had 2 quarterbacks this year. One just has not been able to move the team down the football field. One's a very good runner, and you'll see him with Zion Chris, but throwing the football is not his forte, and we're just stuck in neutral, unfortunately. Defense has been a lot better this year than anybody thought it would be, but boys, I don't mean to be blunt, but we just can't score.
Well, I mean, that's what I was going to say. Offensively, it's been a nightmare. The last ranked team in all of college football in terms of points per game. But defensively, this is a solid team that is giving people a lot of problems, creating a lot of turnovers. Is that locker room holding together? Because, I mean, that's quite a discrepancy between two sides of the ball there.
Well, here's the thing, Scotty. I don't know if the locker room needs to hold it together or not. I mean, there's 60 new faces on this team this year. I mean, they've obviously gotten along and worked well with each other, but this was a complete overhaul from what Dana Holgorsen left and what Willie Fritz inherited. So he had to go to the portal real quick. He had to go to the JC route. Obviously, transfers are a huge part of this. And so they've all kind of embraced the opportunity to play a lot. Their defense has been really good. You saw that against Utah a few weeks back. You saw that in the Kansas State game. But the defense can only do so much. And the biggest problem is the Cougars offense has been turning it over a lot in the red zone, a lot in short field. We saw that against Kansas earlier this year. We saw that against Baylor, and we saw it against Oklahoma. And if not for some really untimely turnovers, this team may have 1 or 2 more victories. But the number one thing that I think Willie Fritz is going to have to do in the portal is go get a legitimate, big, strong-arm quarterback. And this will still be a run-first team next year, but he just needs somebody that's going to be able to be a little bit more of a threat downfield because right now it's pretty easy to stack the box with running backs, and because you know that Chris is the main thing he can do is run with the football. And Hans, when you call the game on Saturday, I would not be surprised if he's going to carry it 15 to 17 times. His first look, frankly, in shotgun is to read option and to run the ball downfield because the passing game just has not been non-existent.
This is that bad. Walk me through 2 or 3 of the standout defenders, in your opinion, guys that have really flashed and done big things in any position defensively.
Yeah. Defensive end Keith Cooper has been fantastic. He's been really, really good. The front four has been good. The linebackers haven't been terribly bad. Michael Batten and Hershey McLaurin have been really good in coverage. The secondary has been beat up a little bit, been exposed passing-wise. But I think the front 7 has been really, really good, and you can ask Utah about the amount of pressure they faced in that game a few weeks back at TDUCU Stadium. But the name you'll be hearing a lot will be Keith Cooper, one of the ends. He's been really, really strong. They go about 7 or 8 deep. They'll rotate a lot of guys in and out, as most teams do. But I think the number one thing if I'm BYU is I want to take a 7-step drop. I want my offensive line to protect me, and I want to throw the ball down the football field. And if you can do that, I think BYU is going to have a lot of success.
That's a problem. That's the one thing they can't do, Matt.
Well, then it's going to be a lot closer game than I think than a lot of people think it's going to be. I'm concerned about the weather. I'm concerned about the fact that there's a lot to play for, obviously, and you've still got a chance at a Big 12 championship game. But also there's a lot of it that could be a spoiler role. Willie Fritz this week basically telling everybody in the Houston meeting, he's telling the kids this is their bowl game. So, and you know what that's like when Kansas came into Provo a couple weeks ago. They kind of had that same sort of philosophy, and they pulled off the upset. So I like the guys. They're really hard workers. They're good kids. They're buying into Willie Fritz. And by the way, Willie is an excellent, excellent football coach. Anywhere he has gone, whether it be Georgia Southern, whether it be at Tulane, he turns football programs around. The thing that just obviously concerns me, and I'm sure that BYU has this issue too, is I'm really concerned about the portal. I'm really concerned about NIL, and I'm really, really worried that if you don't have a blank check ready to go for a quarterback and your key skill position receivers and running backs, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And that's where I think the University of Houston's got to really step up to play with the other boys in this conference.
Well, that's one thing that, I think a lot of us assume that Houston's just flush with cash. You're saying that may not necessarily be the case.
Honestly, I don't. Look, they don't show me the record books. Now, we did have to pay off the offensive coordinator $750,000 to move him on to another position on the program. So they were able to find a private donor for that. We've got a lot of big boosters. They just have gone to that same group of people over and over again. And I think the new athletic director, Eddie Nunez, is trying to find some different folks to step in. But the thing that concerns me selfishly is I'm in the middle of A&M and Texas, and even Texas Tech and Baylor have huge collectives. And in the state where football reigns king, you've got to be able to stay mano-a-mano with those guys if you want to be competitive. And while it may be, you may have as much money to take care of an Iowa State or go against a Kansas or a Kansas State, you want to keep these Texas kids as home as much as you can. But realistically, if you don't have the same amount of money that A&M and Texas is paying out for these athletes, it's going to be a situation we're going to kind of fall up short. So I don't know where that goes, but frankly, right now, a lot of the universities is subsidizing athletics because the Big 12 payments have not come in yet fully. And once they do, maybe things will be different. But right now, I wouldn't be sitting around throwing $20 bills around the University of Houston campus at this point.
Matt, we appreciate your time. Looking forward to getting you here to Provo and get a chance to run by and grab a little Cafe Rio on your way home. So there you go.
Bring that extra meat, free meal, extra. I got all the vernacular done. I still come to all these Rockets Jazz games. I try to get the crew with me to go with me. And they're like, we can get fajita salads anywhere. I'm like, but it's a Cafe freaking Rio. Come on now.
Hey, bring that down feather coat too. It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold.
What's the game time temperature going to be Saturday night?
Somewhere in the 30s, 30, 31, 32.
Oh, at least it's a dry cold.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a dry cold.
It's balmy. It'll be fine.
It'll drop to 24 by the time it's over.
Oh, that's spectacular. Boys, nice talking with you. As always, call me whenever.
You got it. Matt Thomas right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, Houston Rocket play-by-play voice, and part of the University of Houston football broadcast as well. So there you go.
Wasn't that lovely? Said throw deep.
Yeah.
Well, if you could throw deep, run your receivers and just go deep. Honestly, can't remember the last fade that was hit over the top.
A big go route.
There's some pretty sweet deep crossers, some nice 15, 18-yard slants, but touch pass over the top, we've seen a lot of them missed.
Yeah.
They came out against Arizona State and went at it. They were like, well, let's go show them. You throw the play action at them and bomb it deep. Did that against Kansas. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing over the top. So that's a concern. And what's crazy is you can see the defenses know it.
Yeah.
Because when he throws it, the receiver is typically 3 or 4 steps, which is an extra 3 or 4 yards in front of the defender. And you're like, overthrow or underthrow
or out of bounds.
Or out of bounds. So it is not Jake Retzlaff's, has not been his best throw.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he can't hit it because I've seen him hit it. I've seen him hit that pass. So I know it's in him.
Do you think an off season of trying to get that dialed in, he can get himself in a better place?
No.
It's just you are who you are at this point?
Yeah. Yep.
Huh?
You are who you are at that point. You don't have that. And I'm not saying that you can't throw it. You have to continue to throw it.
Yeah.
And there could be a game where he dials it in and you're like, oh, there it is. But he doesn't have the right trajectory. He doesn't have the right strength. He doesn't, there were, let's see, 4 go routes run by JoJo Phillips, I think, that were targeted against Arizona State. One of them was a touchdown. 2 of them were bad throws. And I can't remember the 4th. But you remember the touchdown that should have been scored.
Yes.
JoJo Phillips was wide open running into that cover 2.
Yeah.
And it was the exact route with the almost exact throw that they scored on in the opposite end zone. If Jake just puts it on the money, it's a touchdown. And a lot of people are upset because JoJo Phillips didn't lay out, including me. It's bizarre because the game's on the line.
Got to go get it.
Minute 40 left.
Yeah.
You got the beat on the route. You've already scored on it once. You can't expect that ball to be the delivery man every time and be put in your hands. Sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice your body. And I don't know how many people have ever run a full speed route and laid out for a ball and what it does to your body. I have.
Yeah.
Multiple times I've done it.
Yeah.
You get out there. In fact, when I used to go to that swim club, Donovan McNabb, I would run go routes. I would run against the corners. I would run routes, and Donovan would throw them to me.
Yeah.
And I used to love to do that.
Yeah.
And I'd get going full speed in a route as fast as my 300-pound frame could go. And he'd throw it, and you'd just go for it, and you'd land. It takes the air out of you. It jacks up joints. I think people just get used to seeing receivers go at it, and they're like, oh, well, that's just what they do. I'm telling you, it takes a sacrifice of the body to really go at a catch. When you know I'm going to have a collision with the ground, a collision with the defender, this could be it.
And sometimes guys are laying out with the catch, bringing it in, and then landing on the ball, which causes even more problems.
Breaks ribs.
Yep.
Dislocates ribs.
If nothing else, knocks the air out of you, which you feel like you're dying for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, when it hits in the diaphragm.
Yeah.
It does. It'll knock the air right out of you. And then, I'm watching JoJo, and I'm like, I've watched the replay a couple of times. I'm like, maybe. Maybe. I even watched the interception to Darius Lassiter that went through his hands. And, he jumped and he extended. But it's like, how much more could you have given me?
Yeah.
Did you completely sell out for everything you were worth? Or did you short arm it because you knew that defender was sitting over the top of that route? And if you do catch it, if he's got the right angle, he's going to break ribs. So how much did you sell out? That's why, as a defender, what I do in the first quarter dictates what you do as an offensive player in the fourth quarter. So I'm testing boundaries. I'm putting my hands in your face. I'm lifting up your face mask. I'm throwing as hard of uppercuts on my rip moves as I possibly can. I'm doing everything I can to intimidate you. So then in the fourth quarter, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to do this anymore.
So defenders do that to receivers. They'll pop you. They'll hit you extra. They'll see what they can get away with, hitting you extra. Try not to get the flag and penalty for a defenseless receiver, but still trying to strike the fear of God deep into your guts so that when you come across the middle, you better be willing to give your life for that ball. And when I watched Darius, I'm like, man, he's such a tough kid. I think he sold out, but only he knows.
Yeah.
JoJo Phillips, I think that ball was underthrown and inside, but he didn't lay out.
Yeah.
He didn't completely sell out. And receivers have to sell out, Scotty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't. That's not the time to be making a business decision.
No. I have a lot of respect for receivers. I would not like to play that position.
No.
Because every time I extend my body and I take my elbows away from my ribs, I'm leaving myself open to painful injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I jump and I go to grab that ball, however I'm coming down is how I'm coming down.
Yeah.
If I come down on my neck, I'm coming down on my neck. It takes guts to be a high-end receiver. You think about some of those passes Devin Tompkins caught in his time. That dude, Chase Roberts, will put his body out there. Chase has a complete disregard for his body when he's running that position.
And I respect the heck out of it. I'm sure there's some times where that ball comes in and you're running a crossing route and it's behind you a little bit, and so you have to go back to get it, and you're thinking, I'm gonna catch this ball and I'm gonna straighten out, and there's gonna be a safety right there. Like, I know it. We all know it. I can feel his breath. I can smell what he had for breakfast. I know I'm about to take a hit. So what can I do? Can I clinch up and try to make the contact as palatable as possible, or can I just get the ball, bring it in, and move the chains, and then worry about the effects later?
Well, it's a business decision.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling, by the way, I'm not calling, I'm just saying, you watch the film and you're like, what more is left in the tank?
Yeah.
And maybe there was nothing left. Maybe that ball, because they're the only ones that know the angle, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We can watch it 1,000 times and act like we know the angle.
We don't.
I could explain until I was blue in the face why I gave up certain pressures, or why I did get walled off in a double team, or what my responsibility was and what you saw, how it was not my fault. Well, I did what I was supposed to do, actually. I held on to the guard and the center. Now, I didn't really move the gap or move the pile, and I know that ball cut just off the inside shoulder of that guard, and people are like, why didn't you get that gap? And you're like, that's not me, bud.
Yeah.
That ain't me.
Yeah.
It's the same with receivers. So I draw the question because the eye makes me think, well, what was left? How much more could you give? And I don't know if that's fair or not. But I do know that there are some receivers that give more, Austin Collie.
Yep.
And some receivers that give less.
Oh, yeah.
That I could name.
Yeah.
But I won't. But we all know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Insane talent. And we ask ourselves at the end of the day, why did they not have 120 yards today?
Yeah. Yeah. Got a case of the alligator arms, the T-Rex arms.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to extend themselves. And again, it's not a shot because I can't say that I would be any better. Like, if I were playing that position, I'd probably do the same thing. I mean, that's why the elite receivers not only have talent, but they have a disregard for themselves.
They do. So do the running backs. I was listening to a podcast with Reggie Bush. He was playing against the Eagles when he was with New Orleans. Was it Dawkins?
Oh, Brian Dawkins. Yeah, the safety for the Eagles. That dude was a menace.
Do you remember the catch Bush had? And I think it was Dawkins that ripped him. Ripped his body in half.
I don't remember the play, but that sounds like something Brian Dawkins would do.
And he was talking about, he went back to Drew Brees and he said, number one, bud, you've almost got me killed. Number two, don't ever do that again. But he went full extension to grab this ball. And Reggie Bush took a hit that is legendary. And I was listening to him on the podcast, and they're playing the video of the play while he's talking. And he said, He said, you see how, do you have it?
Yeah, it was Sheldon Brown.
Sheldon Brown.
And yeah, you're right. Like, if I were him, I'd be pissed at Drew Brees too. Just throw out in the flat and lead him right into that hit.
Gosh. So if you watch the video, he starts crawling. Yeah, he starts crawling. He said that he legitimately thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
He said, I thought my life was over on the field.
And that's 100% on Drew Brees.
Yeah. So I get it. You're making business decisions, but I also know that you have to have the sellout receivers in order to be great, especially when you had a quarterback that might not put it exactly where it needs to be every time.
Yeah. All right, 2:27, Hans and Scotty. It's your Cougar preview show. We'll be off tomorrow. And then remember, on Friday. It's a football Friday with Frank Dolce is going to come by, Alema Harrington, Ron McBride, as we recap and wrap up the regular season on Friday, coming up from 1 to 3. Hans and Scotty, this is 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
This show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
G-Bang!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G. That's right. Yeah! On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, Hans, I put out, somebody sent in a suggestion of an Orlando restaurant, and so I retweeted, said, hey, I'm going to be there for a few days. Any other suggestions? Guess what chain is in Orlando? And I say chain lightly. There's only a few of them.
Giordano's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got that back. So we can get a little pizza.
Yeah. That is a great idea because I have hit the Orlando Giordano's, and it's delicious.
And it's just as good as Vegas?
It's just as good. Yep. And your refillable cup that you bought in Vegas will work in Orlando.
I don't think I brought it home with me from Vegas.
It's the one thing that bugs me about Giordano's. They charge you $8, but then they're like, it's a lifetime refillable cup. And you
pack it with you.
And you leave it on the table and walk out.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's such a great scheme because you're getting $8 out of people that you have to have soda with a pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Especially a deep dish pizza.
You're not getting water with the deep dish pizza.
No. And they're like, here's your souvenir cup. It's $12, lifetime free refills.
Yeah.
And you just leave it on the table.
Because, who's packing that thing in a suitcase? Who's bringing a cup home?
Not a single dork.
And who's going to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend. Honey, where's my commemorative cup? I'm going to go to Giordano's. It's in the dresser like it always is. Oh, that's right.
You're using it as a pin holder in your office. Oh, dumping the pins out of it. But that's actually a great idea. Go get a...
Is it in my neck of the woods? Because I'm actually by the Epcot Center or by Disney World.
I'm trying to remember which direction it is, but I know that it's got one of those slingshot things, one of those arch things that shoots a slingshot next to it.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to go do that.
Well, there's always DoorDash too.
I would suggest doing the slingshot and then eating the pizza.
And then eating the pizza, not swapping those around.
No.
Okay.
Don't eat the pizza, then go.
All right, BYU and Houston. Lavelle Edwards Stadium is the site as the Cougars will wrap up their regular season. And I think it's important, Hans, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but you've had a couple tweets about it. You also went over it in the morning after. You've been dialed in on this really well. Just because you've lost 2 in a row does not mean you are out of the running for the Big 12 title game. Now, you're going to need some help, but there are some scenarios in which BYU can still make it to that Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, there's a lot of good hope and good possibilities out there. And I'll start with the most likely possibility. The most likely is BYU beating Houston, Iowa State losing to Kansas State. That's the most likely. That's probably the highest probability, and that's the most hope.
Yeah.
The second most hope and the second most obvious probability is BYU beating Houston and Arizona State losing to Arizona.
Always a rivalry game. That game can always get a little funky.
But at this point, I would love if there was a way Arizona State and Iowa State, if they both lost, then I think it's BYU and Colorado if Colorado wins. So I would still love to see BYU play Colorado, but I've had a change in heart after what I saw last weekend. I would love a rematch.
Yeah.
I would absolutely just delight in a rematch of those two teams, BYU and
because
Arizona
you think
State.
BYU matches up well with them, or are you just from an entertainment standpoint?
I think they figured some things out.
Yeah, in that second half.
Now, what they're going to have to ask themselves some hard questions. Did we figure things out, or did they change on us?
Yeah.
Did their mindset switch? Did their scheme switch? I went back and I looked at their defensive scheme, and I was right with the motion into the 8-man box, where 8 guys were staying, and they were letting the motion man continue off a zone look, and all of them played the downhill step first, all of them. So can you look at that and say, all right, they'll do that again, because they're going to take Retzlaff's option keep, Retzlaff's scramble, and Retzlaff's running. They're going to take all of that away. And then what is a side effect of doing that is taking away LJ Martin. That's a side effect of if I'm doing those 3 things to Retzlaff, the side effect is I'm taking LJ Martin out.
Yeah.
That does leave me susceptible to the slants, which you saw BYU took advantage of. And that leaves me susceptible to the deep ball. Now they're actually running it's a cover 2 hybrid. It's 2 safety high hybrid. But both those safeties are shallow, and both of them are looking for run edge support. Those safeties, every time they were watching any of that motion and the potential fly sweep give or the potential flip to the outs, the flats, they're going to go hit that. And they're going to go hit at full steam. So I could put together, I think, an offensive game plan that I would feel pretty comfortable with. The problem is I have to be able to hit the deep ball.
And you can run that when you don't have a lot of respect for what you can on the deep pass over the top.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because your safeties are edge run support first.
Yeah.
And then bail second.
Yep.
The other thing I would do is I wouldn't change my offense. I'm just adding, because I understand the RPO game, but the BYU RPO is different. BYU's RPO is a much more predetermined run-pass option. There are RPO packages where it really is, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take the snap. I might give, and I might throw. BYU's RPO is, no, the defense is showing me give. I think, for the most part, it's not the defense is showing me give. The pre-call is give, but it's an RPO look, but it's not really an RPO. It's not a full RPO nature, the run-pass option nature. What I would do is I would build something off of play-action look that takes advantage of their forward lean and their outs and their to the flats bail. And if that's hitting quick slants until they are forced to do something different and hitting quick slants at every position, from the tight end to the slot to the X to a halfback in a 5-man out situation, I don't care. I'm just going to I'm going to force them to do something, back it off. And then once I feel like they're backing off, then we're going back into that run game. But they showed that they can absolutely stop your run game.
Yeah.
They beat the crap out of LJ Martin.
Yeah.
And they stopped the crap out of Jake Retzlaff. And they're very athletic. And they were hungry, man.
Yeah.
They hate BYU. They played like they hated BYU.
That had kind of a feel of, because for the most part, BYU has gone places and everybody's like, oh, love that you're here. I mean, you've been part of that. You've been on these trips where
Baylor, UCF.
All these schools are like, oh, hey, it's BYU. Oh, thanks for bringing your legion of fans and everybody else.
Open arms and loving.
But Arizona State, I don't know where Arizona State got sideways with BYU. Maybe the old WAC days from the 70s. I don't know. But you got a generation of young Arizona State fans that were out for blood for some reason.
Well, let's take them out of that Sun Devil Stadium.
Yeah.
And drop them in Dallas or Arlington. And give BYU the run. Now, Dillingham, I'm so conflicted on him.
Yeah, I am too.
You know how that is.
I lost a little respect for him over this last few days.
I feel like I did too, but I still put myself in a player's shoes, and I gained respect.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really conflicted on him because as a broadcaster and an observer, I'm like, that was over the top. As a kid that's on that team, I'm seeing my coach red-faced, and we came out of the win, and the ending went the way the ending went. I'm like, my coach has my back. He'll take fines. He'll fist fight. He'll tell a ref right to his face what he can do to himself, what his family can do, and nobody's going to do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
Because that's my coach.
Yep.
So I'm conflicted on him. But take them out of that stadium, whatever their comfort zone is there. They hadn't lost all season in that stadium.
No.
Drop them in Arlington, and let's see who the better coaching staff is. That, to me, is an opportunity to say, all right, we know what our personnel is, and it matches up. You got the better of me in game one. I know we got the better of you in the second half. Now let's see coaching-wise.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah.
I'll take Jay Hill in almost every battle.
I agree.
And I think what it would do is put the emphasis on Aaron Roderick. It would spotlight Aaron Roderick to say, okay, you know what your quarterback limitations are. I know what your quarterback limitations are. And because of those limitations, I know how to play you. Now beat me. Figure that out.
Yeah. All right, 2:45, Hans and Scotty will wrap up this bad boy coming up next as we continue to get you ready for the final weekend of college football here in the state of Utah in the regular season. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I think the harder thing is who do you pick for offensive coordinator?
Sure.
How much do you shake up and what do you shake up?
I've told you about my favorite episode in the show The Office. Michael goes out to film himself becoming a wilderness survival person. While Michael's gone, Jim takes over the office. And Jim, having sat back, watched Michael make all these mistakes, says, I can fix this office in a day. And the changes he makes are poorly received. Michael comes back. He's talking to Jim. Jim says, I'm glad you're back. He says, I tried to do all these things. And Michael says, oh yeah, I tried to do all those things too. And they all failed. Meaning, the reason Utah does things this way is on purpose.
It works.
It's not that Witt hasn't tried to do other things. It's not that he hasn't thought of doing other things. He has tested them and they have failed. And he says, you know what works? Exactly what I'm doing.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. For the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies, we've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5 the Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, make sure to join JJ and Alex Friday from 3 to 5 at Doug Smith Mitsubishi, 495 West Main Street in American Park, just off the freeway. No one knows Mitsubishi like Doug. Hey, Doug.
Speaking of fork, I hope everybody enjoys their amazing Thanksgiving. I hope that you're able to reflect on the amazing things that we have in this life and in this country and the family that you get to spend time with and the friends that you get to spend time with. And you're able to just really reflect on all the things that you are grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do love that aspect of it. And we do that. It's a tradition. Nobody's allowed to leave the table until you give 5 things that you're extremely grateful for.
Should we have our 5 things that we're grateful for? Lloyd, what are you grateful for?
Lloyd, you start.
I'm 1, you're 2.
So, okay, so Scotty and I are 1 and 2.
Well, yeah. I'm grateful for doing this show with you guys. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful.
All of them?
My immediate fam. All of them. I love all my family. I'm grateful for...
Is your 104-year-old grandma going to be there?
Yeah, I think she is Jessica's grandma, yes.
Floyd's got a 104-year-old grandma.
I know. It's crazy.
That still wears Pink Floyd shirts.
No, she doesn't.
Was she not at a Pink Floyd shirt?
I was wearing a Pink Floyd shirt. She goes, I love Pink Floyd.
104. That's
104.
Awesome.
And I'm thankful that the Raiders keep losing.
Oh, stop it.
You are not.
No, you're not.
I am too. Yes.
You are not.
Yeah, I am. Though I told you, when the Raiders did have the lead against the Broncos, I told the boys, screw it. We want to win. Let's get this.
Listen, we want to win.
I don't care.
Yeah. All right, Scotty, what are you grateful for?
Grateful for the show. Grateful for being able to talk sports with my friends every day. These 3 hours of the day are the best 3 hours. These 3 hours are the best 3 hours of my day.
Yeah,
love it.
Good.
Absolutely love it. Grateful for good listeners that always say hi at remotes.
Love you.
Absolutely love you guys. Thanks for keeping us employed. Thanks for letting us keep doing what we'd love to do. Grateful for good coaches. You know, whether it's the guys I work with at Utah State or whether it's Kyle, whether it's Jay, we are extremely blessed to work with good coaches who are respectable human beings, because that's actually a little rare in the business these days. And then let's see, family, obviously, beautiful wife, great kids, and I think that's about it.
I am grateful that it is November 27th and we still have meaningful football.
Yes, there you go.
That I get to call a BYU Houston game that's got everything on the line.
It matters.
It all matters. And Houston is very capable of beating BYU. Mm-hmm. Very, very capable. It is going to take a dynamic offensive game plan. Otherwise, you're going to have to win this game 13-10. You're going to have to keep them in that 10 to 12 point range if you can't get things going offensively, which you can do.
Yeah.
This defense can keep them. They've had a couple of shutouts. They've been held to 3 points. Like, you can hold them to that 3 to 10 point range. It's very doable. But there's this weird wrinkle of the unpredictable with this new coordinator. And I was just watching film of this Houston quarterback. This will be his 6th start.
Jeez.
And he is a dual threat. So if you get the right coordinator, and he's very good, you get the right defensive coordinator that understands his ability and figures out how to maximize it, then you got a problem. For instance, against Baylor, I was starting with Baylor film this morning. This quarterback drives him right down to the 10-yard line and then throws a pick off an out route, 5-yard out, and he just throws a pick. If you can teach him, don't extend yourself, stay inside your frame, and we'll take the drive and we'll take the 3, then you could find some success there offensively, and this really could be a tight game. So I'm just grateful that we've got some fantastic football and that this is our job.
Yeah.
That this is our job, man, sitting around with a couple buddies, chatting about sports, not taking it too serious, but making sure that we understand that the listeners do take it serious, and so we try to bring you some serious info. And then grateful for good pie.
Yes. There you go.
Let the pies fly.
Let's do it. All right, JJ and Alex coming up next. We'll be back with you on Friday. Enjoy that Turkey Day, folks. Get loaded up on the tryptophan and then get ready for some football coming up this weekend. Hans and Scotty, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.